right?
Okay, that means you are trying to connect from the connect option that we have in the AWS console or from your local machine or putty. How you are trying to connect?
I am directly trying to connect to EC2 instance through browser, through AWS only.
Yeah, which we have discussed in the previous class, right? So what is the problem? What might be the problem is your security group might have opened the port number 22 actually. So because you should have the enabled port number in order to enter into that EC2 machine, because on the 22 port number only you are going to enter into the EC2 machine. Let me show you. Let me go here and then go to the AWS console, and let me go here. Security groups will be there. Let me go here, security groups. Okay. Let me share my screen. Sorry, I did not share. One second. I hope my screen is visible now. Okay. If you go to the security group, see, this is a security group that we have. Click on in your case also only one security group will be there. If you go to the left side menu, you can see that instances and all the things. If you go down, there will be a security groups. Here there will be a security group. In your case also one security group will be there. Inside, when you click on this checkbox of that security group, click on inbound roles. Okay, click on inbound roles and click on edit inbound role. Okay, click on edit inbound role, and you should add a particular role, add role. Okay, you should add something called all traffic, and add anywhere IPv4. Just add this and click on save roles. Okay, click on save roles, then you will be able to log in into uh, the EC2 machine that you have created. That might be the problem.
Okay, I will try. If I will some get, I will let you know.
Sure. And one more, how we are going to support you people in case of you have any doubts means we are going to have a Telegram group. We are going to add the people in that Telegram group, and if you have any questions, something like this, or anyone, not only you, anyone, okay, you can post that questions there, and we are going to support in that manner. Okay. Yeah.
And Shiva, in this right now, means today only I will look. The point is that means with the ongoing session, if I would have some error regarding that, so we can share our screen and you can point it out. That what will be? Is that
No,
possible?
actually, sharing your screen in these sessions is not possible. People from the DurgaSoft only giving the screen share to me only, and they are restricted to share the screen only one people, that is me, and for that's an instructor, and you are not allowed to share the screen in the sessions. And if you want, you can take that screenshot and put it in the Telegram group, whatever the error you are going to get.
Okay, can you share that Telegram group in the chat box?
Sure. Once from the Monday, you are going to get a Telegram group, and
Yeah. Okay.
okay.
Okay. Fine.
Yeah. Now we are going to see the different terminology that we use in Docker today. Terminologies in Docker. Okay. See, first terminal. See, bear with me. There will be some spelling mistake. Terminologies. Yeah, it's correct. Now, one first terminology that we have, first term that we have, you need to understand is Docker host. What we call it as Docker host. What we call it as Docker host. The machine on which the instance, the whether it is a EC2 machine, or whether it is your local machine, the machine on which a Docker is running is called Docker host. Okay. For our previously, when created our EC2 machine, we have called it as instance, right? When we yesterday we have created, right? So for that only, if you install Docker on top of that machine, that is called Docker host. Okay, that we call it as Docker host. From our next classes, we are going to call Docker host of for that machine. We are not going to call virtual server or virtual machine or instance. We are not going to call EC2 machine. We, as part of Docker, you need to call that machine as Docker host. But Docker host, virtual machine, virtual instance, or EC2 machine, everything is same, right? So that's how the Docker host means that actually the machine on which Docker is installed is Docker host actually. So that is Docker host. Second terminology that you need to understand is Docker image. Okay, what is Docker image? What is Docker image? Docker image is something like a binary. Suppose you want to play any game, right? You want to play any game. What you are going to do, you want to install any software or play any game. What you're going to do, you are going to download a particular game from the internet to your local machine. And when you double click that game, that game will be in playing, right? So the downloaded file will be executable format .exe file, that is called executable file, that is called executable file, exe file. That's a different format. Okay, so the file which you have downloaded, that is a binary. Actually, that binary contains your actual game, but it is not in running state. You just downloaded that game, that's it. In the same way, this Docker image is also a binary in which our application will be present, but not in running state. Whatever application, whether it is Spring Boot, whether it is a Python, whether it is a .NET, any application, okay, that application will be present in that binary, but not in the running state. Actually, now that is a Docker image. It's a binary. It's a binary where our application will be present.
So binary means
binary means executable file, that we call it as. We call it as binary in case of Linux terminologies actually.
okay, thank you.
Okay, so that image we are going to execute as a container. That is why we are calling it as a binary for that Docker image. Okay, so that's what we call it as. Okay, the third terminology that you need to have, you need to understand is Docker container. Okay, Docker container, right? Suppose you have downloaded a game, okay, from the internet, a binary file you have downloaded. You have double clicked that game, then that game will be in running state. In the same way, you have downloaded Docker image from the internet, and when you execute that Docker image, that will be running as container. Actually, inside that container, what will be there? What will be there inside your image? Inside your image, your application will be there, but not in running state. When you execute that image as a container, inside that container your application will be there, but that application will be in running state. Actually, that is Docker container. What is a container generally means? It's used to hold some goods, right? Generally we see in our society. Okay, what's a container? It's something, it will hold some goods, it will hold. In the same way, in our Docker container, our Docker container holds the applications. The application will be running inside the Docker container. Actually, the running state of the Docker image is called Docker container. The running state of Docker image is Docker container, in which our application will be in running state. Actually, so that is the Docker container. Now, the next thing that you need to understand is Docker registry. Docker registry. So what is Docker registry? The place where you store your Docker images of your applications is called Docker registry. For see, where we'll store our application code in the GitHub, that is called GitHub, right? GitHub registries. Okay, where you are storing your artifacts in the Nexus or the JFrog. That's a artifact registry. In the same way, our Docker images will be stored in particular registry that is called Docker registry. So we have public Docker registries and private Docker registries. There are two types of registries. One is, let me write the global definition here. Okay, place where we store Docker images is Docker registry. Okay, there will be two types of registries. One is public Docker registry. Public Docker registry. What is this public Docker registry? If your application image, if your Docker image of your application is stored in the public registry, that means anyone in the world can be able to download that image, can be able to use that image. Okay, that is a public Docker registry. That if you store your image in that registry, public Docker registry, so your application will be downloaded by anyone. Okay, it is accessible for everyone in the world. Actually, it is accessible for everyone in the world. Okay, that is public Docker registry. Now we are going to see the public Docker registry in soon actually. Now, second type of registry, that is private Docker registry. Okay, this is something called private Docker registry. If you are storing your images, Docker images related to your applications in this type of registries, private registry, that means it is only private to you. No one in the world able to access that application, the Docker images. Only you or your organization who has the access will be to that registries, will be only able to access that images present in the private Docker registry. It's a private to your organization or you. It is the images in this registry were private, private to you or your organization. Okay, to you or your organization. That is called private Docker registries. What are the different types of private Docker registries are available? What is a public Docker registry is available? Let me go here to the browser. If you search for hub.docker.com, hub.docker.com is a public registry. Hub.docker.com is a public registry where your different images will be there. You can see it here. You can find Nginx image. This is Nginx is an application that is given to us. We have Nginx image, we have Tomcat image. You can see the Tomcat image is there. Okay, this is a MySQL image. MySQL image is there. This is a MySQL image. So this is that Mongo image. Mongo image is there. This is a Mongo image. All this images were public images. Anyone in the world will be able to use these images because the images here are stored in the public Docker registry actually. So that's the public images. Actually, one second. Okay, these are called public Docker images. In our classes, you need to create a account here. How to create an account? Click on sign up. Click on sign up. Actually, you need to enter your email address, username, and password. You people already know, but yeah, I need to say. Okay, click on sign up. Then your account will be created. This is a public Docker registry. You can push your images in your public Docker registry. Let me log into my registry that I have, which I have created. Let me log into my account. Let me log in here. Now I am logged into my account. Actually, I have different images. These are public images that I have stored inside my registry. If you are trying to, if you want to try these images, you can search with this this strings, this number and slash Swiggy. You can able to see the registry. You can able to view my image which I have pushed to my registry from your end. Also you can use this image because this is a public image. You can see that is a public image. You can see it here. So this is called public Docker registry where we store our all our Docker images. So let me go here in the diagram. That is registries actually that we call it as. The next term that you need to understand is Docker daemon. Docker daemon. So what is a Docker daemon? In general terms, okay, in operating system terminology, what is a daemon? Actually a background process that is executing in the background, which is executing the background is called a daemon. Okay, it's called a daemon. Okay, that is the daemon. Actually, in case of Docker also, there is some process will be executing in the background which accepts our Docker commands is called Docker daemon. Okay, the background process. Yesterday we have seen after installing the Docker, we have checked whether the Docker is running in the background or not. How we have checked? systemctl status Docker, that will show whether the daemon is running or not. So that is the background process is called process of Docker is Docker daemon. Actually that is called Docker daemon. What is the sixth terminology is called Docker client. Okay, the Docker client. What is Docker client? The place where you are executing the Docker commands is called Docker client. Okay, Docker, the place. You can see here, I am executing my Docker commands from this place. Let me clear the screen. Okay, exit from here. Let me increase the font size. Okay, Docker images. So these are some, I'm executing the Docker commands. From where I'm executing from the terminal. Like, what is a terminal? It's a command prompt in Windows. From the terminal, I am executing the Docker commands. So that is the Docker client from for me actually. The place from where we execute Docker commands is Docker client. Okay, you need to is Docker client. Okay, you need to understand these terminologies before going to Docker. Actually, next step we are going to see Docker architecture. Okay, the Docker host, Docker image, Docker container, Docker registry, in that public Docker registry, private Docker registry, Docker daemon, Docker client. These are the basic things that you need to understand. We have different things, Docker networking and Docker volumes, Docker compose, different things we are going to see. But before entering into the Docker, you need to understand these terms before going to that. So you will be understanding the Docker very clearly. So that I have introduced these terms here. Anyone have any questions related to these terms, please? Anyone have any questions? Is that clear for you people?
So really, that Docker client means that like which one that looks like a command prompt is called Docker client, or
yes, from where you are executing the Docker commands is called Docker client. It acts as a client for the Docker.
okay. So it's a server, client server, and
yeah, server means Docker daemon. See, server, what we're talking about is a Docker daemon. Okay, so the client is from where you are executing the commands.
okay. So this Docker daemon it's a, like acts like an link between our client and the Docker machine, right?
Yes, it's actually a link between that. Yes, you're right. It's a background process. Okay, it will perform what? See what I have executed Docker images here. This command which is executing our actual functionality. This is client. I am executing the Docker, something called Docker images from my client. What is accepting this command, performing this action? It is giving the images present on my Docker host. Okay, who does that for us? That is doing by Docker daemon only. We are going to see that architecture. Okay, so that's the background. Yeah, it's actually a link between Docker host and the Docker client. Yeah, if I say everything now, it will be confusing. Once the Docker architecture will be given to you, so that it will be very clear.
The Docker image, it's a binary where your application, I didn't know it's binary means the binary format.
See, binary means it's a, suppose you have written a Python code. Okay, that Python code, actually we will call it as a shell scripting or Python code. This is called as a binary where our actual functionality will be there. When you execute that Python code, you will be performing some functionality that is written in the Python code. I am calling that as a binary. In same way, in the Docker image also, my application code will be there. Okay, in which when you execute the Docker image, that Docker image will be converted as Docker container. That one I am calling it as a binary. Okay, that's the thing. In the same way, you want to download a game, right? As an example, I have told you, you want to download a game. You will be downloading a particular file. You will install a game from the internet, and that is called a binary that you will be downloading .exe file. And when you double click that game, that will be executed. That will be running a game, right? So that the installation file that I'm calling as a binary. So that's the thing.
And this image we have to create, right?
Yeah, you can create. We need to create. Yes, in the real time, the applications will be there. You need to create the image from our application. How you are going to create? Using Docker files. We are going to see in the course. That's an important concept. But in the initial steps, we are going to use the images that is given to us from the hub.docker.com. Just now I have shown you, right? These images we are going to use, which is explored here. All the images, some of the images we are going to use. There are hundreds, thousands of images here. initial things we are going to use these images, but in the future we are going to create our own images from our own applications. We are going to create an image from our Python code. We are going to create an image from our Spring Boot application, something like that. We are going to see that.
And this is something similar to Amazon AMI. It is something like that. Amazon machine learning.
Amazon, in the Amazon AMI, what that AMI contains required softwares. Okay, required software it contains, but in that, what our Docker image contains, my Docker image contains required application. It contains application actually, but that contains the software. It's also like similar to that, but not exactly similar, I mean.
Okay.
But in Amazon AMI, there may be a different softwares. Okay, you can install GitHub, Git software, you can install Puppet software, you can install Chef, you can install Packer. There may be a different software that can be installed on the Amazon AMI. But in my Docker image, only my application, only one application will be running. We will not have multiple applications in the Docker image. That is also a difference. One of the difference I can say. Is that clear?
Yeah, Shiva.
Yep.
Yeah, so my question is like, while creation of the image, actually, Docker image, are we actually also giving that the location, like where exactly that particular image need to be stored, like whether it will be stored at the public registry or the private registry?
Yes, we are going to give the information where it is going to be storing. Okay, if you want to pull the image from the private registry, we are going to pull the image from the private registry. If that image is stored in the public registry, you are going to give the image from the public registry. We will giving the clear information to the while running the Docker image as a container. You will give clear information so that the image we will be pulling from the private registry or public registry. By default, it will be pulling from the public registry only.
I'm not asking about the pooling actually. I'm asking about like while creation of our own image actually. So do we need to give that location about that whether it will be get stored at the public registry or the private registry?
Yes, you will giving the information while pulling or while pushing. If you want to do any operations with the private registry, you need to give the information. What, not only pulling or pushing, anything you want to do operations.
And that all the images will get stored at the Docker hub, right?
Public images, yes.
What about the private images?
Private images, you can store it something called in the ECR, in the AWS ECR. There is a ECR provided registry, one of the AWS so you can store there. The people in the organizations also store their applications in the private registers only. They will not push their images in the public registries because that should be secure and should not be accessible for everyone.
And if that particular image need to be shared among different users, again to the limited people actually, so still we need to store the images on the private registry, which will be referred as probably redirect to that AWS ECR.
Yes, if you want to give the multiple users, because it should not be public. If you give public, it will be accessible by everyone. So if you want to give only particular users, you need to store in the private registry only. You need to give access to that particular users only. That is using IAM. That entirely related to AWS. How to give the access to only particular users. Okay, that's entirely related to AWS that we are not going to see. But you can also store the images in the private registries, and you can also give the access to particular users through the private registry.
Okay, and one more thing, that is there any communication can be established between two Docker images created by the single user?
No, there will not be any communication between two Docker images created by the single user, but there will be a communication between the two Docker containers created by the single user.
Okay.
See, all the things we are going to see. Just if you have any questions related to Docker terminology, just now ask that one. We are going to see that everything in the course. No problem with that.
Okay, so can you just that particular document?
Which one?
Just now you have written all the terminology. Right?
Yeah.
So here actually, can you just name any example like which kind of images we can store at public Docker registry, and what kind of image we can store at private Docker registry?
That is up to you entirely. If you have created application, if you want to give access that application to everyone, you can store in the public Docker registry. If you want to only be private to you only, you can store in the private Docker registry. That is up to you only. That is decided by who are uploading that Docker image to the like registries actually. That is decision taken by those people. You can store it. Yeah.
But it's the organizational approach, like what exactly that approach will be, like whether it will be referred to private Docker registry or the public Docker registry.
In the organization, they'll not store the images in the public Docker registry, because that should be private to that people only, because that should not be accessible to everyone. That should not, everyone should not be able to access that private like images. They will be storing in the private Docker registry. They'll not do in the public Docker registry in the organizations.
Okay, so just in case, I mean, if someone wants to put the Docker image into that public Docker registry, so there actually that security, any sort of security we cannot provide.
No, it is available to anyone, right? Anyone can be able to access that image. Okay, anyone able to use that image actually. So you can see that I have shown you the Nginx Tomcat. So everyone able to use that image. So that kind of security will not be there in the public Docker registries.
Okay. Any sort of credential also won't be against those images,
no,
right?
No, we will not having any credentials. So everything will be public.
Just in a short word, as a developer write the code and he put the code on the GitHub, and after that the GitHub we are just creating running some test cases through CI/CD, and that application with all that application code need to be deployed on Docker.
No, that application code need to be converted as Docker image. Okay, that Docker image, yeah, that Docker image should be deployed in the Kubernetes clusters. Like that, it will be.
Okay. And there are two registries accessible for everyone.
I did not get. You can repeat that.
My question is why we are creating means what is the purpose of to create an image for and it should be public? What is the reason behind that?
See, that's entirely up to you. It's not any reason. Any reason is not there for that, because if you want to give access, see, suppose the people who created Nginx image thought that Nginx can be able to access for everyone in the world for their marketing. Nginx is created by Apache. That is Apache is one of the organization that is created by Apache, and for their product marketing, they thought that the Nginx should be given as a public registry so that everyone can be able to use that Nginx image. So for their marketing purpose, they have put in the public registry. You can use that public registry, public image actually. But if they want the some of the future should be in private, they will be using private. That's entirely the requirement from their side actually.
Shiva, one more thing that you said about that Docker daemon, right? So what I just want to know, like once the Docker gets installed and while running that client actually, so can you consider that Docker itself as a kind of thread which is always running in the background process?
Yes, which will be always running in the background process until you stop that process.
Okay. So Docker itself can be considered as a thread, right?
Yes.
And it always running in the background, right, in the process.
It will be always running in the background process. That is why I have told you not to install in your local machine. Yes.
Okay.
Yesterday you were installed in the AWS. We had created one EC2 instance Docker, and after that you have executed some commands regarding that. So that EC2 instances would be where you have executed the command on that EC2 instance. You have installed the Docker. That EC2 instance will now called as a Docker client, right?
No, Docker host. The
Docker
EC2
host.
machine. The EC2, see the machine on which your Docker is running is called Docker host. That will call as Docker host.
Okay. And Docker client where we execute Docker commands and Docker is Docker client.
Yes.
And Shiva, one more thing, that once Docker gets installed at EC2 instance, can we call that EC2 instance also as a Docker container?
No, because that is Docker host. You cannot call that is as a Docker container. Okay, Docker container itself is different. You are converting your image as Docker container. That is called as Docker container. You cannot
But
call
running state of Docker image means that will be a different environment or what?
on the same environment, on the same Docker host only. You are going to convert. You are going to run your Docker container.
So in other words, we can say that Docker host contains Docker container, right?
Yes, Docker host contains Docker containers. Okay, that's the thing. Okay, now let's go to Docker architecture. Now let me put that here. This is the Docker architecture. In Docker architecture, all these terminologies combined together will be becoming the Docker architecture. Let me put this line here.
Sorry to interrupt, Shiva. Actually, can you just also save all this running nodes as well? And you can save
Yes. All these running nodes which I am explaining here, the clear documents will be provided to you.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah. Now this is the Docker architecture. Okay, this is the Docker client that we call it as. Okay, this is a Docker client. Okay, now we have something called Docker host. This is the Docker host. Just think of, I will also label that, but as of now, just think that. Okay, now this is the Docker registry. Okay, now let me label them. This is the Docker client, and this is the Docker host, and this is the Docker registry. Inside the Docker host, a Docker daemon will be running. This is the Docker daemon. Okay, this is the Docker daemon. Okay. Now, whatever the commands we execute from the Docker client, you can see that. Let me clear the screen. Okay, Docker images. Okay, while the Docker will be in running state, now I am executing the command called Docker images. What is this command? This command lists it lists all the images present on my Docker host. Let me click on enter. These are the 3 images that are present on my Docker host. When you execute this command, I have executed that command from my Docker client. Actually, this is a Docker client. What I have did, Docker images, I have executed this command from my Docker host, and this command is listened by the Docker daemon. Okay, this command is listened by the Docker daemon as a background process. It continuously listens the Docker commands. Okay, now there will be, it has Docker daemon actually perform the actual functionality. That listing of the images is performed by the Docker daemon. Okay, now it has listed all the images present on my Docker host. These are the application images. This is a MySQL image. This is a busybox, or like the WordPress image. This is a busybox image. Okay, now it will list all the images present on my Docker host. Actually, now let me pull one image. Docker pull nginx is the image name I want to pull. Actually, let me pull this image. Okay, I am pulling that image. It is trying to connect to the hub.docker.com. That means I am downloading the image from the hub.docker.com. So let it complete. These are something called layers that we are going to discuss creating custom Docker image. No problem with that. Okay, you can see Docker images. You can see Docker images. Now nginx I have just now downloaded, which is of size 192 MB. Now what happened when I execute docker pull nginx? So I have executed docker pull nginx. I have executed this command. Let me put this here. I've executed this command. This command is listened by the Docker daemon. This command is listened by the Docker daemon, and it understood that the user who is executing this command want to pull Nginx image from the hub.docker.com, and it will connect to the hub.docker.com here, and it will find the, like, these are Docker registry, hub.docker.com, I mean Docker registry. It has found the Nginx image on this Docker registry. Nginx image has been found by the Docker daemon in the Docker registry, and it have downloaded the Docker image to the Docker host actually. So it did like that. Docker, once again, this is a Nginx image, that is Docker daemon got downloaded to the Docker host. And when you again executed the Docker images, it has listed all the images present on my Docker host actually. So that's how it is working. Now let me execute one more command. Now let me execute Docker container ls. What this command does for us, Docker container ls command lists all the containers, all the running containers on my Docker host. Let me put that here. Docker container ls. When I execute Docker container ls, this functionality that I am performing is listened by the Docker, daemon. Docker daemon has listened that because it's a running background process. It has been listened that, and it understood that what the user want to perform. Listing of all containers that is running on the Docker host. Okay, now as of now on my Docker host, there are 2 containers running that listed my containers on my client. Actually, this is listed by the Docker daemon. Actually, the Docker daemon did that for us. Okay, background process. Okay, let me clear the screen. Now that's the thing. Now I have downloaded, okay, Docker images. I have downloaded a Nginx image to my Docker host. Actually, I have downloaded a Nginx image to Docker host. How to run this Nginx image as a container? This is an image in which our application is present, but not the running state actually. Now, how to run it as a container? Docker run -- name is equal to web app. I want to give the name to my container as I will tell you what is this command in the future, but as of now, just remember how to run an image as a container using Docker run command. Docker run -- name. I am giving to the name to the container. Now -d detached mode we will see in the future, but now just see what is it's a detached mode that we call it as -d. Okay, now I want to use Nginx image to run it as a container. I want to use Nginx image to run it as a container. That's it. Just click on enter. Now Nginx image will be running as a container. You can see Docker container ls. You can see Nginx image is running as a container. Previously only 2 containers are running. Now when you execute that image as a container Nginx, the 3rd container has started, that is Nginx container. You can see up 7 seconds ago, just now it got executed. Now 1 second. Okay, that's the thing. What happened when you execute this command Docker run --name web app -d Nginx? Let me go here to the diagram. Let me write that command here. Okay, let me put that here. Okay, Docker run --name is equal to web app and -d. I have used Nginx. I have used this command in order to run my container. What this command did for us? This command is being listened by the Docker daemon, and Docker daemon has noticed there is a Nginx image already present on my Docker host, and it used that Nginx image which is present on my Docker host, and it got executed as a container. This is the Nginx container. Okay, this is the, let me put it as Nginx container with the name web app. We have named that container as web app. While running the container, we have named that, if you remember, web app. Okay, let me put like this. If you see here, while running the container, we have named that web app. Okay, that's the thing. Now that's how it is working. Actually, that's how internally Docker is working. Now when we execute, see, now Now let me execute Docker images. It will list all the images present on my Docker host. There is a no image with the name Tomcat, right? There is no image with the name Tomcat. Let me try to execute that Tomcat image as a container where the image is not present on my Docker host. Now let me see that Docker run -- name is equal to, let me name it as Tom. Okay. Okay, Tom -d Tomcat. Okay, -d Tomcat. Okay, let me click on enter. Now Tomcat is unable to find the Tomcat is unable to find locally. It is not present on my Docker host. You can see that it is not present on my Docker host. It will try to pull the Tomcat image. Docker daemon will try to pull the Tomcat image from the hub.docker.com to the Docker host. Let it pull, let it complete. You can see it has been pulled, and that will execute as a container. Docker container ls. You can see Docker container Tomcat image is executed as a container. You can see it is running up since 5 seconds. Okay, now what happened when you execute this command, right? What happened? Let me list it here. Let me put it in the Docker client. Actually, we have executed the command from the Docker client. Docker run -- name is equal to Tom. We have given -d. We have given again, we have given some image name Tomcat. Okay, Tomcat we have given as an image name. Now what this, when you execute this command, what happened internally? This command is being listened by the Docker daemon, and Docker daemon has found there is no Tomcat image on the Docker host. What it did is it connected to the Docker registry. It connected to the Docker registry, and it has found Tomcat image Tomcat image in the Docker registry, and it have downloaded the Tomcat image onto the Docker host. It has downloaded the Tomcat image onto the Docker host. Tomcat image on the Docker host. Let me put it like this. It has downloaded Tomcat image on the Docker host, and this Tomcat image is executed as a container on my Docker host. Okay, this Tomcat image is executed as a container on my Docker host, something like this. Okay, this is a Tomcat with the name Tom. Okay, Tomcat with the name Tom. Okay, something like this. Okay, something like this. It has executed. So this is how all the components, okay, what we have discussed here, all the components will be working together and formed in a Docker architecture. This is something called Docker architecture that we call it as. So these are Docker architecture. If you have any questions, please ask. Any questions, please?
Yes, Shiva, so you mean to say that while pulling that image from the Docker registry, so we are that image while actually getting stored at Docker host, actually first that one small container will be created with respect to that image actually first, right? I mean, after that, that image will get created. Is this the way?
No. First, the image will be getting downloaded from the image is already there, which is there in the hub.docker.com. That is downloaded from the hub.docker.com to your Docker host, and that image is executed as a Docker container. That's it.
But you said that while pulling that image of that Nginx, then Tomcat, you said that one Nginx container will be created, which will be get referred to that Nginx image.
Yes, out of this Nginx image only, the Tomcat Nginx image only, the Tomcat Nginx container got created, which means it is referring the Tomcat image, right? Which is referring the Tomcat image. That's it. If you want to remove this Tomcat Nginx, I'm really sorry. This Tomcat image, again, okay, this Nginx image only we are using to execute as a Nginx container actually. Now that means this Nginx container is referring the Nginx image only. If you want to remove this Nginx image, you are unable to remove because Nginx image is referred by the Nginx container.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm trying to say that, I mean, while pulling that image from the Docker registry,
okay,
and before it is getting stored at Docker host, one container is actually getting created with respect to that particular image, right?
Yes, the container will be.
And within that container, I mean, that image are getting stored, right?
No, it's wrong actually. Image is not storing inside the
Okay,
container.
once again, I'm just trying to say that let's say we are actually retrieving Nginx Docker image from the Docker registry, right? We just get the command. After that the command get executed at the Docker host, I mean, Nginx container is getting created within that Docker Nginx, Nginx Docker container. That Nginx image is getting stored. Is it correct?
No, actually, what happening is, so when you execute docker pull nginx, Docker daemon will be trying to download the nginx image. You are saying in the reverse way, actually. Docker daemon is trying to pull the image from the Docker registry, and that is first downloading the image, to the Docker host, actually. Docker daemon
Okay.
is
Okay.
Docker host. And from this Docker image, which is downloaded by the Docker daemon, the Docker container will be created. But what is the application will be running inside the Docker container? Nginx application will be running, but it does not mean that Docker image of Nginx is not storing. It's not stored in the Docker container. Okay, that's Nginx application will be running. The image will not be stored in the container. Okay, that's it mean.
Okay,
So
okay. I mean, with respect to every image, that respective container will get created where actually it is getting running, right?
Yes, now you are right.
So it means even if we delete the container, the images will be there in the host machine, right?
Yes. If you delete the container, image will be there in the host machine, and you need to explicitly delete the image.
Okay. And what is that -d? Shiva? It's a detached mode, means container will run.
No. See, detached mode means that is you are like, if you don't use detached mode, the logs will be shown in your terminal itself. That it's not time to discuss the detached mode, because we need to discuss detached mode and the attached mode. We will discuss in the next class tomorrow.
Okay.
And one more thing, that while retrieving that image, you are providing that, I mean, pull command, right? But if we pulling that I mean, image from the any, see, first of all, while this in this architecture, the Docker registry, is it only for the public or the private also?
No, see, it is only for the public as of now. How to pull the images from the private registry using something called, you need to log into that first. We are going to see in the how to pull the images from the private registries, but as of now, this is a public.
So for in order to pull that image from the private registry, the command will be different, right?
No, the commands will be same, but first you need to perform some actions. You need to perform Docker login, and you need to enter your username, and you need to enter your password, and then you will be able to download the private images using Docker pull command itself. You will be downloading, but the process will be different what you follow.
And this Docker hub will be common to everyone, right? I mean, those who actually install Docker.
Yes,
I
it
mean,
will be common. It will be
common to all, right?
It is common for everyone. Anyone in the world can able to use Docker hub. Yeah.
Did you just, I didn't get, how did you create the images? Means, did you given that? I didn't understand that.
No, I did not create an image. I have not created an Nginx image. I have not created Tomcat image. Nginx image is given by the Apache people, and Tomcat is image also given by someone. I am using the images which is created by someone, which is stored in the public registry, and I am able to access that images because they are stored in the public registry. As of now, I did not create any image, my own image. Okay.
Okay. So the image is created by for now understanding, image is created by third party or Nginx or Apache Tomcat, and that has been stored in the public registry, right? From where you are installing on our host, Docker host.
Yes.
And the Docker host is nothing but under the hood is a Docker daemon where we are installing that images, we are pulling out that, right?
Yes. That's the thing actually.
Shiva, one more thing, that while providing that Docker run command, actually for Tomcat actually, while giving that command, actually we saw that it was not, present in the locally at the Docker host. So it automatically get pulling that image from the Docker registry, right?
Yes, if the command is not, if the Docker image is not present on the Docker host, it will while running the Docker container, as it will automatically pull the image from the Docker registry and run it as a container.
Okay, so while actually pulling that image from the Docker registry for Tomcat, so it is actually retrieving the latest version, right?
Yes, it will be retrieving the latest version.
And what about any specific version we need to, retrieve them?
If you want to retrieve a specific version, you need to use the version number. Okay, let me see. You need to use docker pull while running the Docker. I have used this command. Let me show you that I have used this command, right? To pull the to run this Tomcat as a container, you need to use specific version. Okay, :v1.0 something like that. Okay, as of now it will be pulling the latest version.
Okay, so by providing those version, even if it's not present in the Docker host, it will automatically get retrieved from the Docker registry by referring to that particular version number, right?
Yes. Where that versions will be present, if you go here to the Docker registry, let me go here and let me search for Tomcat. Okay, this is a Tomcat. Let me go here. You will be finding the tags. Okay, these are the different versions of the Tomcat. If you want to download this version, let me go to the Docker host. Images. Now the Tomcat is there with the latest version. Okay, now if you want to pull Docker pull Tomcat colon, this is a version I want to pull. Just it will try to pull that particular version from the Docker registry. Okay, it is pulling that.
Yeah.
I think the size is more. That is why it is taking time. Docker. Yeah, it has been pulled. Previously, it is a latest version. Now it is pulled with a different version. Is that clear for everyone? Any questions anyone has?
Yeah, so what I just wanted to know one more thing, that while providing that pull command for against any particular image, once that particular image gets stored at the Docker host, let's say if we run that particular command again for that pull command for that particular image only, so will it get override or will it get have any error?
It will not download. It will not override as well. It will say that it's already present once. Yeah, you can see it will not get downloaded. It will say that is already present. Okay, that's the thing. That is depending on the layers that we call it as. We will see in the creating custom Docker images about the layers. It will not see it previously. It has downloaded. It is giving something like this. Okay, but in this case, when you execute one more time again, it will not getting downloaded. It is already there, right? So yeah.
So neither it will give any error or it won't get replaced, right?
Yes. Okay, yeah. One more thing that the thing I'm going to say is link is going to be changed soon, and these classes will be shifted to 9:30 a.m. morning, and it's not 10:30 a.m. from the Monday. Please go ahead and register for the course. And tomorrow, what we are going to discuss is about some of the use cases, how to establish a communication between the containers, and we'll go through the Docker Compose files. Okay, some of the use cases like how to create a MySQL container, how to log in into that, and how to enter into the MySQL container, how to view the logs, how to view the inspect command, something like that, or what is a detached mode, what is -p option, port forwarding, port mappings, all the things, all the use cases we have seen, we will be seeing tomorrow, because until today we have seen some of the Docker related things, architecture and the terminologies and some of the introduction. Tomorrow we are going to see the actual related things to the Docker actually. So that's the thing. And one more thing is, as I already told you, link is going to be changed soon. And yeah, that's the thing. Please go ahead and register for the course if you are interested. So that's the thing I want to say. If you have any questions, please ask. If not, we will meet tomorrow in the next class at the same time, 10:30.
Shiva.
Yep.
Yeah. The one thing, can you show this architecture diagram?
Yeah.
So means in the Docker client, this is the Docker client where you are executing the command. So Docker client can be called as a Docker container.
No. So some people uses Docker container as a Docker client. Until you use like that, that is not called as a Docker container. Okay. So that's the thing.
Now, the point is that now you were installing the specific Tomcat version. So the from your ID, Shiva Kumar, that would be your Docker container, right? Or
No,
Docker client.
no, this is my Docker client. It's not my Docker container. This is my terminal. Okay, this is my terminal. Okay, it is given to me from by the Mac actually. Where is that? Yeah, this is my terminal. You can see this is a terminal application from where I'm interacting with the Docker. This terminal is called Docker client. In your case, you will be interacting with the Docker daemon using your command prompt. In that case, your command prompt is called Docker client. You cannot call your command prompt as Docker container, right? So that is called Docker client.
Then what we will then what we will call Docker container after executing that?
No. After executing your Docker images, those Docker images you will be calling as Docker containers. You can see from the Docker client, you can see Docker container ls. I have executed the Nginx image. Previously, I have executed the Nginx image as a container. You can see this is a Nginx image I have executed as a container. This is a Tomcat image as I have executed as a container. So the images which you are going to execute as a container, those are called Docker containers.
Still, I didn't get the images we are executing that we called as a container. So images are stored in a container.
Images are not stored in a container, but actually using the image, they will create the container is what Shiva is trying to explain.
Yes.
All right. The second part is Docker client is not actually the container itself. To get inside the container, there will be some other command. I think he will show us that tomorrow. But Docker client is only used to connect to the container or the host. We cannot, call the client as the our terminal as the Docker client.
Okay.
Sorry, Docker container. I mean.
Okay, fine. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, initially the things will not clear, because if you go further the things will be really clear, because we are going to see the many use cases, something like this, creating a WordPress along with the MySQL and Tomcat, Nginx and MongoDB, MySQL DB, all the use cases we are going to see, and we are going to establish communication. So if you use regularly like that or Docker images from the terminal, then that will be very clear, because initially it might be the new to you people. I understand, but yeah, that's the thing. Actually, that's happens with everyone. No problem with that. Okay, so no, if you have, we will be continuing from tomorrow, and soon we are going to from the Monday we are going to change the link, and you are going to get the Telegram group link. You will be joining there, and if you have any questions, you will be asking there. Okay, and you will be getting the drive access, so that I'll be uploading the documents related to the classes in that drive, and you can practice that. Actually, that's the thing. Okay, if you have any questions, you can ask, or we'll meet tomorrow.
Yes, Shiva, so tomorrow's session will be considered as a demo session, right?
Yes, tomorrow's session is the final demo session that can be considered.
Okay.
Okay. If you
The classes are from Monday to Friday, right?
Yeah, classes will be from Monday to Friday. You are right. If you
Okay.
want, if you want me to give any exercises, okay, I will be giving you the exercises. If you want to practice in that manner, I will be uploading the exercise to your drive so that you can practice the exercises. And if you have any questions related to that exercise, you can ask. Okay, such kind of things also will be there if you are interested only. If you are not interested, that's okay, no problem.
Shiva, one request is there actually. While I mean, from Monday onwards, also I can do that. I mean, while going through any concept, if you find any question will be related to any interview question, so just mark it as in that manner so that we can give some importance to that particular concept.
Sure, that's really important. That's a good point. I will be marking as a interview.
And also just write down that what kind of question that can be expected from the interview point of view.
Sure,
So
sure. No problem. This Docker architecture can be asked for the 2 years experience people. So that's okay. I'll be telling you.
Yeah, I mean, what kind of question can be asked in that way?
What kind of questions can be asked? They will be giving some different Docker files, and they will be changing. Small changes will be given in the first Docker between the two different Docker files. Now, what is the difference between these two Docker files? They'll asking such kind of scenario based questions. And what happens if you won't use port forwarding -p8080? Such kind of questions will be asked. And there will be what is the use of Docker Compose, and how the developers uses the Docker Compose from there in order to automate their tasks. Such kind of questions. So there are many questions like that from the Docker. We are going to see what is layers, why we call it as layers, and from the Docker Compose, like there are many questions like that. And now if I tell the questions, you will not be understanding.
No, I'm not asking right now. I'm asking about like whenever we are actually going to cover actually any concept. So if you find that it will be like
He's asking
to any interview related question, then just put it as a mark so that you can.
Sure. I will be putting that as a mark, and also upload the after after the completing of the course. We will be uploading the documents of the interview questions also. You can refer that you see after each and every concept. If that concept is related to the interview questions, I will be definitely put that as a mark, important point.
And please, I mean, save these docs as well, whatever you are getting so that it can be shared to the.
Can you repeat that? I did not get that, please.
Yeah, I mean, today's running notes, I mean, this particular image and architecture and the terminology points we have taken there. I mean,
Yes, all the running notes from you will be getting.
Okay.
No problem with that. Okay, so that's the thing. Yeah. Thanks everyone. Thanks for joining session. It's a great to meet you people. Please go ahead and register for course, and we will meet tomorrow. Thank you. Bye.